Don't we all love summer vacation, relaxing, laying out by the pool, barbecues, hitting the beach, doing, well, nothing? Well, how about a summer vacation from your house payments? With SaveWithConrad.com, you can do just that. Reduce your monthly payments by making the equity you built up in your home work for you. You can roll together those high interest rate credit cards into one lower monthly payment and perhaps access some of that newfound equity to turn your house into your dream home with no money out of pocket. And how about this? You get to skip your next two house payments. That's right. You won't have to make your June or your July house payment. You're done until August 1st. Go right now to SaveWithConrad.com. Let my team run the numbers for you for free. There's no obligation, and if we can't help you save some cash, we won't waste your time. And did I mention we're offering a 3-year guarantee right now? That's right. That means if at any point interest rates improve over the next 3 years, you get a free refi. That's right. No new lender fees from us. So you get to save money now without wasting money later when the rates improve on a whole second set of closing costs. Why not go to SaveWithConrad.com and get a guarantee? Save money now and save money later with your friend in the mortgage business. That's me, Conrad Thompson at SaveWithConrad.com. Shoot me an email at Conrad@SaveWithConrad.com. Give us a call at 888-425-0105. Or get yourself a quick quote, even talk to a live person right now at SaveWithConrad.com. NMLS number 2129, equal housing lender. Let's take a summer vacation from house payments at SaveWithConrad.com. Hey, it's Conrad the Mortgage Guy, and you're listening to What Happened When? With the voice of your childhood, Tony Schiavone. Tony, what's going on, man? How are you?
Well, I'm good, Conrad. It's good to be with you. How you doing?
We're excited to be with you. We are live here on a Monday night, immediately following Monday Night Raw. It's 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. You know what that means. Let's watch a little wrestling with our friends. Mm-hmm. We're starting today off with the acknowledgement of maybe the biggest wrestling story of our lifetime. Hulk Hogan has passed away. What an icon. What a legacy he leaves behind. And it was Tony's idea. Hey, you know what, Conrad? We should watch WrestleMania 3. So that's what we're doing today. We want you to join us over on Peacock. We're going to start the show in progress at 2:03:54. That's 2 hours, 3 minutes, and 54 seconds. So if you haven't already, join us on Peacock. Just look for WrestleMania. It's season 3. WrestleMania 3, of course, way back in 1987. And we're at 2:03:54. Tony, I thought you did an excellent job. I texted you immediately afterwards on Saturday night, just looking right down the barrel of the lens and talking about Hulk Hogan. Take us back to when you first got the news and when you had to deliver that news on live television this past Saturday.
Well, I first got the news from you, Conrad, when you sent me a text. And then, of course, I immediately go online and look around, and, a couple of the sites had it. TMZ had it. I let some people in our company know exactly what had happened, some of the guys I work with. And it just absolutely floored me because, well, I knew he had some back and neck and problems. I think anybody that knows him knew that he was really struggling to get around. But to have the heart attack, and when something like that happens, somebody that you work with, you kind of think about your own mortality and you think about how fragile life is, and you think about, my God, it did not seem that long ago when, I was calling some of his matches, and even in the WWE, and that one year I was there. But then I thought about what he meant to pro wrestling, and it's undeniable what he meant to pro wrestling. So I put together a thing to say. And Tony Khan helped me with the verbiage of what to say. He wanted me to make sure I talk about the family and make sure I talk about, how he made an impact in wrestling on TNT. And so I put it together, and I remember telling Tony, I said, "Do you want me to read it to you?" He went, "No." He said, "I trust you." I said, "Okay." And then I told the guys in the truck, I said, "Please do not wrap me up. Do not say you got 10, 9, 8. And they said, "Okay." I think they gave me 1:30 to do it. I think I did it in like 1:10, 1:15. And it was from the heart as a wrestling fan. And it was from the heart as a guy that was fortunate enough to be a part of a company where Hulkamania was, as they say, running wild, and to be a part of the company where Hulk Hogan turned things around. And again, like I said, ignited the Monday Night Wars. I was there for all of it, and that's not lost on me. So it was truly from the heart. And again, and I'm not going to bring this down with to say that you can't please everybody, and there's going to be people on both sides saying bad things about what I said. I did have a lot of fun. I think the day after he died, maybe on Twitter or X, you know, uh, responding to all these fucking idiots. And then somebody said, Tony, log off. You've had enough fun. And even Matt got in touch with me. He said, stop. I said, okay, I'll stop. But it was, and I still think about it. I still think right now about Hulk Hogan passing, and
Yeah.
it's weird, isn't it? It's like, no, there's no way that happened. So it was a very, very sad day. It really was a sad day
I
for
read
all of us.
online that in comic books, our superheroes don't die, but in wrestling, they do. And that's kind of really the way I fell in love with Hulk Hogan. As a little kid, I was a G.I. Joe guy, I was a He Man guy.
Right,
And then I stumbled across professional wrestling, and I'm like, wait a minute, Hulk Hogan is the live action version of He Man. I'm
right.
in. And I was just enamored with Hulk Hogan and Hulkamania in 1988. And my first WrestleMania to be watching when it was happening was WrestleMania 5. I fell in love with that Hogan Savage feud. And to this day, Bruce Pritchard still says it's the number one story in the history of the WWF. And the magnitude of his importance to wrestling just can't be overstated. And I felt like AEW, man, I know this is going to sound bad, but Tony Khan said several months ago to be AEW is to be under constant attack. And I kind of felt bad for you on Saturday because it was like some people were pissed off that AEW didn't post a graphic
Yep.
on social media. And it's like, wait a minute, you would rather not hear on television from someone who knew him for 35 years. And I have to admit, I kind of got wrapped up in the, hey, why didn't they post a graphic? And then when
Right.
I saw what you did, it was like, wait a minute. Respectfully, MLW tweeted out hashtag RIP Hulk Hogan. Would
Uh-huh.
that have been sufficient? No. Like,
No.
no matter what you do, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But they did the most they could with it. And Dave Meltzer even wrote in the Observer, even Tony Khan, who was publicly quiet about Hogan's passing, as were many in the industry, was brought into wrestling by Hogan. When Khan was 7, he was an avid television watcher, but did not grow up in a family that watched wrestling. But he saw Sergeant Slaughter every afternoon on the G.I. Joe cartoon and saw Hogan on an episode of the A Team. So, in him wanting to find out who those two people were, he discovered pro wrestling. While those were his two entrees and perhaps his favorites at first, he very quickly moved on to his favorite 4 wrestlers as being Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat, Bret Hart, and Steve Austin. So I'm just saying the people who have decided they wanted to villainize Tony Khan or AEW, the way they did it, it got 5.5 million impressions. And respectfully, that's more impressions than anybody besides WWE got. So think whatever you want of Tony Schiavone's tribute, but it was effective and it was from the heart and it was real and it was authentic. And Tony Khan was a Hulk Hogan fan, but Hulk Hogan didn't work for AEW. They didn't have footage. They didn't own images. What they couldn't have done anything besides hashtag RIP Hulk Hogan. It's just silly. It's like damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of stuff here, Tony.
Yeah. Well, I'll just say this, and I don't want to make this about knocking Twitter or online. It's that Twitter's as just like our buddy Antonio Santos said, and my daughter and I talked about this using the same verbiage this week. Twitter's a cesspool. It is a cesspool, and uh, I'm staying away from it. I'm not going to do much with it anymore, and let them people do what they do. A lot of the people do it just to be funny. A lot of the people don't even know what they're saying. They just want to be contrary. So, but That's not the story. The story here is that I was, uh, or I'll flip that around. Hulk Hogan was a big part of my career,
Yes.
and and I feel honored, like I've told you before, that I held the stick or the microphone for Ric Flair during the '80s on TBS on the Superstation during the studio shows, and I feel honored that I called many of Hulk Hogan's matches, not only in the WWE but obviously in WCW. I mean, that's big, and that's not lost on me. So I feel very, very honored for all that.
Briefly, before we roll this beautiful bean footage, and we are going to be watching WrestleMania 3 on Peacock, we want you to join us at 2 hours, 3 minutes, and 54 seconds. That's 2:03:54. That's your last call. Peacock, WrestleMania Season 3, 2:03:54. Tony, before we watch this, can you tell everybody the story of when you first met Hulk Hogan in real life? Because I've always thought this was just a great story because it had to make you feel good as a newcomer to the WWF.
I'd gone to the studios at 120 Hamilton, which I understand have now been leveled. They're no longer there. And of course they've moved everything around. And I was back in what they call Edit One, which was the big edit suite. And there I was, and Hulk came in and he looked at me, he said, Tony Schiavone, hey brother, how you doing? He stuck out his hand. He said, welcome to the team. So he acknowledged me before I could even say anything or get anything out of my mouth. And that meant so much to me. Now, fast forward to it was the same year, it was 1989. I was on a flight. I happened to be able to upgrade for some unknown reason, and I happened to sit beside Hulk Hogan. I was on the inside, he was on the outside, and we talked the entire time about wrestling, about his love of wrestling, about my tenure at Jim Crockett Promotions and NWA and all that. And I remember him say before I got there, he said, "Man, it's great to talk to you. I'm great to finally get to know you." So he was so polite and good to me when I walked in, and I remember thinking, "This is the biggest star in the world, and this is the biggest star in the world who knows my work." And I was just, I was honored. I really was. So those are two moments I think about Hulk all the time. Now, honestly, when he was in WCW, he and I didn't have not have much verbiage back and forth. He was back there with Eric and going over some things. There were a couple of times I went back and they were telling me things they were going on, but very rarely did Hulk and I really have much talk back and forth during those years. But there's no question of the impact that he left on the sport, like I said, in the '80s and the '90s.
Now, respectfully, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. I am trying to translate because I think sometimes I speak Tony. I mean, what you took a little bit of flack for last week was saying that Hogan was a coworker, not necessarily a friend.
No, no,
And I
see,
th- and I,
that's wrong. Someone asked me, was Hogan a close friend?
well, yeah, I think they referred to you as his close friend, and you
Right. And I
said
said,
not exactly.
no, I said, what, close friend? No. Coworker? Yes. I should have said close friend, no. Friend, yes. Because you can't work in this business without being friends with people that you work with. If
You're going to be friendly.
you're going to be friendly, right? But the question was close friend, and I wasn't a
With
close friend of. I wasn't. Eric Bischoff was a close friend of Hulk Hogan. Bruce Pritchard was a close friend of Hulk Hogan. Brutus the Barber Beefcake was not me, but I was friendly with him and a coworker. And so people, and that's why a lot of times when someone said, "Oh, you didn't say you were a friend of his," I would respond, "Go back and read it." And one guy said, "Go back and read it again slowly. If you can't read, have someone read it to you." Um, so they misinterpreted that, but that's the way it is.
let me say, my litmus test for are we a close friend is have I been to your house? Have you been to mine?
Right.
And if we hang out in real life, like at our homes, now we're real life friends.
Right.
If we just hang out when we're at work, we're work friends, and there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. I've got a ton of work friends.
Right.
But even at work, I have my work friends, and then I have people that I'm friendly with. And every now and again, I have motherfuckers I avoid.
Yeah.
And to be clear, Hulk Hogan was not avoiding you, and you were not avoiding Hulk Hogan, but you were friendly, but you weren't at his house and he wasn't at your house. Do I have that right?
Went to his house one time with Eric, and that was for work.
Yes.
And we went there to talk about something, I don't know, in Tampa. But no, a close friend would have been one that when what happened to his son Nick would have called him to say, "Hey, you okay? Is Nick okay?" When he lost his first marriage, you call him, "How you doing?" Right? That's what close friends do. But no, I mean, we after those years, they asked me. They said, "Well, when WCW parted ways with you, did you see Hogan?" Never saw him again. Never talked to him again. From that, so yeah, if I had been a close friend, I would have been in contact with him. So that's what I said. Anybody, anybody that is going to say, that was wrong, just doesn't know how to read or reads what they want to read. And there's a lot of people on Twitter that just don't know how to read nor spell.
Well, and they're just looking to be pissed off about something.
Right, right.
The same people who are wanting to, trash Hulk Hogan. I just really challenge everybody. Hey, can we be better? Like, you can keep your feelings to yourself. Sometimes
You
you
can.
don't have to say something bad. Like, I know that people, get upset when I say that, but I do think a little decorum, because it's natural that his friends and families are going to be spending more time looking at social media and the internet
Yep.
and discovering all this and stumbling across it. And I just want you to think, if you're one of those straight up assholes who's writing something like "rest in piss"
Yeah.
underneath his memorial,
Right.
like, how would you feel if someone's writing that about your dad or your mom or your
Right.
brother or your sister or your son or your daughter? Like, man, we got to be better as a society. Like, the time to shit on Hulk Hogan was when he was here. But you getting online and throwing your little temper tantrum and showing your ass doesn't change anything. You're not going to change his mind. All you're going to do is just waller in that negativity, and you're going to hurt his family. You're going to hurt his friends. You're going to hurt his fans who didn't do anything wrong. And if we can forgive, everybody else for everything else in our life, we should be able to find an opportunity to forgive Hulk Hogan. I know Jesus did. I only mention that because Hulk Hogan was baptized 18 months ago. And Tony, I
Mhm.
know you're a Christian. And
Mhm.
hey, man, if he squared everything away with the big man upstairs, who are we to judge? But
Yeah.
this idea that Hulk Hogan's supposed to be held to a perfect standard, I've even seen terrible things written about his son. And it's like, listen, guys, his son made a mistake when he was 17. The dude's like 35 now. Why are
Yeah.
we still talking about this?
Yeah.
Can we not give a kid an opportunity to get better and to change and to evolve and learn and grow? Like, I just wish we had a little more grace right now in 2025, Tony. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's fair to say, but Conrad, we're not. And let me tell you why. I was talking to Lois about this today. We were talking at dinner, and I said, "Whatever happened to that friend of yours?" Uh, and I won't give the lady's name. She said, "Oh, we don't really talk much anymore." And I said, "Why?" She said, "Well, our political uh,
That's stupid.
our political leanings are opposite." And I said, that is what is wrong with America. The discourse that we have because of what social media has done has separated this country. And you're telling me that you cannot be friends with a guy if you're a Democrat, you cannot be friends with a Republican? That's your basis for friendship? Are you out of your freaking mind that is your basis for friendship? I have a lot of friends who are on the other side of the aisle with me.
Yes.
And to be honest with you, I'm not on any side of the aisle. I'm an American. I've always been that way. I told Lois, I said I wanted Joe Biden to succeed. I wanted Barack Obama to succeed. I want Donald Trump to succeed because I'm an American. And I'm not out there trying to undermine the president of the United States. But the discourse that we have of social media, of talk radio, and of news, cable news, has split this country, and it's never going to go back. Never. And it's terrible.
Well, let's get off our soapbox. I'm excited to
Yes.
watch WrestleMania 3, but
Right.
before we do, we need to take a quick break. We'll be right back after these words. All right, listen up, guys. If you own a handgun for self defense, your storage likely fit into one of two frustrating categories. Your gun is either locked away, meaning it's safe, but it's out of reach in case of an emergency, or it's unsecured, leaving it vulnerable to anyone. Well, Stopbox USA saw this problem and designed a groundbreaking solution: It's the Stopbox Pro. With the Stopbox Pro, you'll never have to choose between security and readiness again. Its ingenious push-button locking system gives you fast, reliable access when every second matters without the hassle of keys or reliance on batteries. It's 100% mechanical, so it works every time, no power needed. And with Stopbox USA, you finally have both security and readiness. The Stopbox USA Pro's mechanical keyless system allows for fast, secure access without the risk of fumbling around for keys when every second counts. It's also battery free, so you never have to worry about your lock not working. And by the way, tariffs are not going to affect the Stopbox Pro. Everything is sourced here in America. Their manufacturing plant is made here in America. Everything about Stopbox is USA, including the product. Stopbox USA is TSA compliant. Yeah, you can actually use this with your checked baggage when you're using airline travel. I love Stopbox Pro. I believe in this product. I know you will too. If you own a handgun right now, you owe it to yourself to go take a look. And for a limited time only, our listeners can get a crazy great deal on a Stopbox. We're talking 10% off your entire order when you use the code WHW. And for even better savings, I recommend you shop their bundles. They've got the best deals on their best-selling products, so check out their bundles and get an exclusive 10% off site-wide when you use the code WHW at StopboxUSA.com. That's StopboxUSA.com, and the promo code is WHW. Discover a better way to balance security and readiness with Stopbox. And I know some of you are thinking right now, I really wish I didn't have to listen to these commercials when I watch these shows. I love watching Tony and Conrad talk about old wrestling, but gosh, I just wish there was like a commercial-free version. Here with a public service announcement in a What Happened When world premiere, ladies and gentlemen, Bad Bunny Slim.
I think the first bump was inadvertent. I think I think he stumbled.
It looked awesome though, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Come on, man. Oh, now.
Hi there.
Who are you?
I'm an advertisement, and I'm here at the worst possible time to keep you from enjoying your favorite wrestling podcast.
Get off my car!
I'm afraid I can't do that, but you can get rid of me if you really want to.
How?
AdFreeShows.com. It's the only place you can get all your favorite wrestling podcasts early and ad-free. Plus, you'll be able to steer clear of annoying advertisements like me. AdFreeShows.com.
Tony Schiavone, that was not CGI. That is a redneck on a back road going 50 miles an hour, passing cars, hoping they don't get pulled over. Bravo, kind sir. Channeling his inner mayhem, his inner Allstate commercials. What do you think of Bad Bunny Slim, man? What a spectacle.
I think of Bad Bunny Slim the same way I've always thought of him. What a wonderful guy he is. What a great supporter of ours. And what a nutcase. All rolled into one.
Well, speaking of nutcases, we're all nuts for a little Hulk Hogan action. Join us. Let's celebrate the legacy of Hulk Hogan. Fire at Peacock, Season 3 of WrestleMania. We're at 203.54. Tony, are you locked and loaded on your side?
Yes, I am.
You want to give us a countdown, or do you got one from our buddy?
No, I was going to just do a regular countdown.
Let's do it
and do a regular dun 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 dun. 3, 2, 1, play.
Man, as good as it gets. WrestleMania 3. Here we go. We've just seen the finish of Randy Savage and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. We've got more matches on the way. We're joining this one in progress, so I want to catch you up. What got us started was the Can-Am Connection taking on Magnificent Morocco and Bob Orton. Dave Meltzer gave that 2.5 stars. We would also see Hercules and Billy Jack Haynes. Dave would give that one 2.75 stars. Then we had Hillbilly Jim, Little Beaver, and the Haiti Kid taking on King Kong Bundy, Lord Littlebrook, and Little Tokyo. That got 2 stars in the Observer. Harley Race and Junkyard Dog in a loser must bow match got a 1-star rating. Greg the Hammer Valentine and Brutus Beefcake taking on the Rougeau Boys got 1.5 stars. Roddy Piper and Adrian Adonis in a hair versus hair match got 3.5 stars. The Hart Foundation and Danny Davis took on the British Bulldogs and Tito Santana. That got 2.75 stars. That's also the write-up where Dave Meltzer referred to Dynamite Kid as a chemically fueled cripple. Coco Beware wrestled Butch Reed in a half-star affair. And then we saw Randy Savage and Ricky Steamboat, arguably the greatest WrestleMania match of all time up to that point. I don't even think it was arguable. This was for the Intercontinental Championship. Randy Savage would drop the title to the babyface Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. He got 4.5 stars in the Observer. It's still kind of shocking to me that didn't get a perfect score, but that's where we are. We're caught up. We just saw a backstage vignette with Alice Cooper and Jake the Snake Roberts, who are now riding the little trolley on the way to the ring. When he is getting ready to take on the Honky Tonk Man. We saw an episode or a clip from the Snake Pit, Tony, where the Honky Tonk Man crushed Jake the Snake Roberts over the head with the guitar.
Right.
Jake would say years later that guitar was not gimmicked. It was not prepared, and it did not take care of him. And as a result, he suffered serious vertebrae damage.
Right.
And this is the payoff for that feud here at WrestleMania 3 with a bona fide rock star and Alice Cooper, which tells you just how pop culture wrestling was here in 1987. So that catches us up. What do you remember of this feud and watching it at home, and maybe what you've heard from Jake in years since?
Well, we just watched it as you were running down the card, right? Of what had happened. And you could tell it wasn't a gimmick guitar. You could, when he hit him just now, I went, ew. Here's what I remember about WrestleMania 3. I remember now, I looked up today how many people were there. According to Wikipedia, they claim that 93,000 plus were there, but they say it was actually around 78,000. So
that's right. 78,000 and change is the real number.
Okay. So, all right. Be that as it freaking may, when I heard that WrestleMania 3, and I was working for the Crockett's right there in 87, I remember thinking, holy shit, we'll never do anything like that. And I to me, this is the one show that just jettisoned the WWE into pop culture. To me, now, I know Mr. T was a part of the first WrestleMania. There was WrestleMania 2. But to me, this crowd and Hulk Hogan against Andre the Giant, to me, was the thing. Am I wrong? Is this?
No, you're not wrong. Just to give you some context, this is the era where pay-per-view is still in its infancy.
Right.
By the way, look at the back of that guitar. It's got a big bubble on it. You can tell that's gimmick to hell.
Yeah.
Anyway, what I was getting ready to say, though, is you've got pay-per-view in its infancy, and this show actually sells 400,000 pay-per-views. But at the same time, you've got 78,000 tickets sold, and, not everybody has pay-per-view capabilities. So in those markets, you've got a closed circuit opportunity, which basically means you're renting out a building, an auditorium, an arena. You're setting up a giant screen and a projector. And people are buying tickets to come sit in a stadium and watch a big screen. How many people did that? They sold over 450,000 tickets just for the closed circuit. That's according to Dave Meltzer's Observer. So you've got 78,000 fans in the Silver Dome. Right. You've got 450,000 fans in arenas across the country watching the closed circuit. Okay. And you've got 400,000 fans at home watching on pay-per-view. That's the numbers. Now, to give you some perspective, Tony, you want to know how many people attended the closed circuit for Starrcade the prior year?
No.
30,000. And wow. By the way, on its own, when you think about that, 30,000 feels like a monumental success. You had 30,000 people come to arenas not to watch live wrestling, but to watch a screen of live wrestling. So when you really think about that, 30,000 feels like an overwhelming success until you hear, 5 months later, the WWF's going to do 450,000. That was the allure of Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant.
Sure. And Andre the Giant had been established as more than just a wrestler. He had been established as an attraction, being booked by the McMahons, being booked by the WWE all those years. He went out to different territories, and every time Andre the Giant would come to a territory, it meant something. So Andre was an established star of professional wrestling fans around the world. They knew him because he was everywhere. And now Hulk Hogan obviously comes around and he's the big star. And it was one of those meant to be moments. It's when everything, as the old cliche goes, came together. So, yeah, it still amazes me when I watch this about how big this was compared to everything else that I was accustomed to.
I mean, it's the biggest show of all time, and it's even in the Observer. The Observer was real primitive back here in 1987,
Right.
but I think, and listen, I may be wrong on this, but I think Dave actually has a screen grab of what the Observer looked like. Of course, back then it was all done on a typewriter,
Right.
but just to see the way, he sort of broke it down. There's another slide that Silva has, not about the Hogan match, but
Right.
this is the very beginning one. He says, so this is the cover of the newsletter from April 6, 1987. To say anything but Sunday's WrestleMania show was the most impressive all-around wrestling production in history would be to deny the obvious. Everything about the show, from the hype to the trappings to the production of the live event itself, exceeded anything we've ever seen from the business. The sellout at the Silverdome was proof of all that. I'm not going to get into attendance and money figures here because I should have a pretty close to complete estimate in next week's issue, but it certainly was by a wide margin the biggest grossing wrestling event in history, and it's a standard that will be very hard for Titan to top next year. Just a few random thoughts before running down the card itself. From the standpoint of the wrestling itself, the show was pretty good. Some were left on a bad note by the main event, which in truth, it was even worse than I expected. Even though the Andre Hogan match was the draw, it was well known ahead of time it would be a stinker, and it succeeded in that regard. It was also easy to predict that Randy Savage and Ricky Steamboat would put on one heck of a show. Putting the Andre match maybe in the 10th slot and saving Piper and Savage for the final two positions would have sent the fans home on a hot note. Watching the show myself, I thought it was entertaining, except for Savage. The best performer on the show may have been Jesse Ventura, but the main event sent me home on a sour note.
Yeah.
So Meltzer is trying to reconcile exactly, how to feel and how to categorize WrestleMania 3, but he's describing it, in the days after as an unparalleled success. You were with Crockett at the time and you felt like, hey, we'll never compete. How do you think Jimmy Crockett felt? How do you think Dusty felt about WrestleMania 3?
I think they dug in and tried to get better and realized that this fight that they are in was not going to happen easily. I'm sure they were worried about it. That's my feeling there. Can we put that one back up again, that slide back up again one more time? There's a part I wanted to read. Okay.
Sure.
And he said, down, putting Andre match on, maybe the 10th slot and saving Piper and Savage for the final two positions would have sent the fans home on a hot note. I think the fans went home on a hot note.
Of course they did.
Yes. I think the fact that he did not like Hulk Hogan, and it was well documented, and the fact that what he likes in a match has to be the one that sends the fans home happy is absolutely wrong. And of course, this is Dave's opinion. I think the fans seeing Hogan slam Andre, seeing Hogan win, seeing Hogan pose, I think they went home hot. They were there to see that match. That's what they were there for, nothing else. They were there to see that match. I shouldn't say nothing else, but that was the match they were there to see. And seeing Hulk Hogan win brought them home happy.
There's no doubt about that. We got a question here live from our live studio audience. We greatly appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We have such a great time with you every Monday night watching old wrestling together. One of the questions, though, Tony, is, did you see this show live? Did you get a pay-per-view? Did you get a closed circuit? When do you see this? How do you see it? Is it VHS?
Yeah, it's a VHS. Yeah, that's how I saw it.
So did a friend record it live on pay-per-view and they handed you the tape, or did you wait until the Coliseum video came out?
A fan. I wasn't that big of a tape trader, but a fan let me see it on the on a tape. I remember that. And you know what I did? Because I heard about the Ricky Steamboat match, I watched that, and then I watched Hogan and Andre.
That's what you watched of the show, those two matches.
Those two matches, right? Oh,
Yeah.
and I also watched Vince McMahon announce
Introduce Aretha Franklin.
and you know, and God Bless America. And I
Yeah.
remember when Vince, you could say when he looked around, he was so damn proud of that show. And so, I mean, you could just see the arrogance, like, you know, ooze off of him. Probably in a good way, though, but you could just tell by his facial expressions and the way he said that. It was really, really big. And it was.
Honky Tonk Man is victorious here. We're live, and Bobby is with us, and he says, "Are these pay-per-views on VHS worth anything in today's market?" Hey, they absolutely are, Bobby. If you've got a sealed VHS, if you have an unopened VHS, it's worth hundreds, if not thousands, of dollars. Yeah, it's if you have a WrestleMania 3 sealed, it is certainly worth thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Bryant wants to know, JCP had run stadium shows before this event. Tony, what do you think made this event different from the events that you had run?
Size of the promotion, the fact that they had hit the mainstream and we had not. We're showing Alice Cooper right there. There's another reason, that they hit the mainstream. Alice Cooper wouldn't have come to our show. He didn't even know who we were.
Well, hang on. You had David Allen Coe and all that.
Yeah, it was good.
Hey, I wanted to remind everybody we're watching WrestleMania 3. We've still got a few more matches to go, but you know, when we take a look at the matches that are remaining on this show, you got 2.5 stars in the Observer for Jake and Honky Tonk Man. Next up is Killer Bees versus Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov. That gets 1.5 stars. And then it's time for our big main event. And I think almost everybody my age was either a Hulk Hogan fan or an Andre fan. And most of my friends, I shouldn't say most, all of my friends were Hulk Hogan fans as a little kid. But then I find out later in life, guys like my buddy Cole Kublik and guys like Mike Dawkins and certainly Cassio Kidd, they loved Andre the Giant. Like their dogs and their family pets were named after Andre. I never had Andre as one of my favorites. Was Andre a favorite of yours as a young wrestling fan?
Yeah, it was. When we knew that Andre was going to come to the Greensboro Coliseum, we always went there. Always went. I remember a friend of mine and I drove down to Greensboro to the Coliseum because Andre was going to be there and they were going to have a 2-ring battle royal, and which Andre won. But I remember getting there and they had given us front row seats. And I was thinking, holy shit. And the people beside us said, it must be because they extended the front row. He said, because we all know each other. And, you know, we introduced ourselves because the front row people knew each other. They always got the same seats. But that's what I remember. And it was a big deal seeing him. And that's where the line of roll of baloney came in.
I love that.
My friend JR looked at me and went, whew, I bet he's got a roll of baloney.
Little did you know, years later, you'd be working with Jim Ross, who used to make a side hustle of hog pictures, hog Polaroids with Andre the Giant.
Oh God!
By the way, speaking of great announcers, I don't know if you saw, but this past weekend was the 25th anniversary of the passing of Gordon Solie. Did you see that?
No, I did not.
Gordon Solie passed away 25 years ago this past weekend. His lovely daughter posted something on social media that I ran across.
Yeah.
She says, it's been 25 years since my dad passed away. It's hard to imagine that it's been that long ago. You're missed by so many of your fans. And there's actually a photo of the Gordon Solie Award from the TNT Hall of Fame. And it lists, I can't believe this is real, Jim Ross, Conrad Thompson, Tony Schiavone, and now David Crockett. Like, what a wild crew to think that it's the Gordon Solie Award and it's low-key ad-free shows after that. Isn't that wild?
Isn't that something?
Like, I don't belong on that list at all, but
Well,
you
you know
think
what?
about,
You're there, so stop it.
yeah, well, roll tide on that.
Yeah.
David McClay is with us, and he says, Hulk is why I became a wrestling fan. I don't believe any celebrity death has hit me harder than this. Hulkamania will live forever.
There you go.
You know, I kind of agree. Like, he was such a big part of all of our childhood. Like, you know, respectfully, He-Man's, we're never going to see He-Man pass away.
Right.
And GI Joe's not going to pass away, and Superman and Batman. And I
Right.
think that's what makes wrestling so wonderful. Is the TMZ headline that caught everybody off guard last week was not Terry Bollea dead at 71.
Right.
It was Hulk Hogan dead at 71.
Yeah.
And respectfully, when Michael Keaton passes away, it won't say Batman passes away at 68 years old. That's not going to happen. So,
Right.
what
Yeah.
an interesting form of entertainment this is, Tony.
It's amazing form of entertainment, and I'm so lucky to be a part of it, and so lucky to be a part of it on so many levels. And there's Gene Okerlund announcing the indoor world record of 93,173. If anybody deserves a Gordon Solie Award, it's the man you're watching right there, Gene Okerlund. And that's my feelings on that. And there's a lot of people that deserve one as well. A lot of announcers. I do want to say that, and I didn't bring this up before we rolled tape, but when we were talking about what I said on
Collision.
Collision, I had a lot of people text me in the industry and tell me how great it was, and that meant a lot to me. And I had also had a couple of phone calls from very influential people in the industry that said how much that meant to them for me to say that, and how great a job I did. And that to me is the best. And you were one of them. That to me was the best feedback I could have ever gotten. People are in the industry, so there.
You know, I think a lot of people thought it was reminiscent of when Gorilla Monsoon passed away and Bobby the Brain Heenan paid respects to him on Nitro.
Yeah.
Certainly, you know, Gorilla was not a WCW or NWA or TBS or TNT guy,
Mhm.
but he was so important to Gorilla that,
Yep.
or to Bobby, that Bobby said something.
Right.
And that's kind of what it reminded me of. You know,
Right.
AEW never did business with Hulk Hogan, but Tony
Right.
Schiavone did. And I knew that message was coming from the heart. And I really appreciated it as a fan.
Thanks. Just put a lid on what you just said, and probably I shouldn't say this. There's a lot of people that think that I did not want Bobby Heenan to say that, and that is a lie. That is not a misnomer of truth. That is a lie. But that's enough of that. So now we are going to see the Russian national anthem sung as only it can be sung.
So listen, we've already seen it earlier in the show, and before we went live, I actually wanted to see both of the promos because I remembered Hulk Hogan did a promo before with Vince McMahon, and then we would see Mean Gene hold the microphone for a promo from Bobby the Brain Heenan and Andre the Giant.
Right.
And there's been a lot of reports out there that on this particular night, Hulk Hogan's payoff was the richest in wrestling history. $750,000 was his payday for this match.
Yikes.
And supposedly, Andre got the same, but Vince gave him a little bonus, $250,000 for doing the honors and as more of a thank you because it was clear that he was going to be winding down his full-time career, more of a thank you for all that he had done for the company at that point.
Right.
But more importantly, Bobby Heenan said this match really set him up for the future. This is the first time he could actually say that he had money to set aside for retirement and things like that. It secured his financial future, this single payday for WrestleMania 3. And when I watched the promo back tonight, really for the first time with those numbers fresh in my mind, all I could think was, boy, Bobby deserved it.
Yeah.
Because respectfully, Bobby Heenan was able to be the mouthpiece that Andre couldn't be in selling this match.
Right.
And Bobby Heenan's mission to end Hulkamania for all those years, you know, if we're going to go with that sort of comic book line of thinking, if Hulk Hogan is our Superman, Bobby Heenan was the Lex Luthor. And I absolutely loved that dynamic. And behind the scenes, I know they just absolutely loved each other. They made a ton of money with each other. But it was so convincing that I, even as a quote unquote smart fan, there were times where I was just sold on the fact, well, of course, Bobby Heenan hates Hulk Hogan. And then you realize, man, they made so much money together. And Andre, respectfully, his mere presence, that was all that was required. Bobby and Hulkster could do the rest.
And of course, Bobby versus Hulkster, or Lex Luthor versus Superman, went on into WCW.
Yes.
Even when Hulk Hogan turned heel, Heenan still didn't like him and didn't trust him. And it goes back to that one time that people can say what they want to say about Bobby Heenan's comment when Hogan walked out to become a member of the NWO. He says, whose side is he on? Heenan never trusted Hogan. And that's why Heenan said that. Heenan did not tip the fact that Hogan was turning heel. When Hogan came out, Bobby Heenan would say, that motherfucker, whose side is he on? Right? And that's why it worked. And I don't care what people say. I know because I was there. Heenan was not tipping the hand of Hogan being a heel. Although for many people came off that way, maybe it'd have been best if Bobby not said that. I know why Bobby said that, and it's completely wrong. And it's wrong to feel that Bobby screwed that up because Bobby's nemesis was always Hogan, from one promotion to the other to the very end. And that's the way it was.
Tony, we are way behind. We got to take a break. We'll be back after these words. All right, boys and girls, let's talk about Tony Schiavone's wiener. Do you realize how many kids shot out of that thing? I mean, I lost count. I don't have enough fingers and toes. Arn Anderson once said he had enough to shampoo a water buffalo. I don't even know what that means, but it feels like a lot. Tony, since the 80s, has been walking into the room dick first. And that's because Tony understands that BlueChew isn't just a tablet. It's like a cheat code for your crotch. Tony Schiavone's walking around in 2025. But Tony's wiener thinks it's 1985. He's got stronger, harder, longer lasting erections. It's almost like somebody gave him a pep talk downstairs, maybe a little gym membership. Maybe you've seen Conor McGregor lifting weights with his. I know I have. BlueChew is the original brand offering chewable tablets for better sex. Serious business. This product really works. I was just bored the other day, so I was sitting around taking some. Nobody else in the house, kind of like Big Vis did back in the day. And I just wanted to see what would happen. Well, I knocked over a bookshelf. Guys, this isn't just about performance. It's about legacy or third legacy. Give her group chat something to talk about. There's nothing that makes you more of a legend than a little BlueChew. Go discover your options right now at BlueChew.com. And that's where you'll find we're going to give you a hot tag for your wiener. It's a special deal for our listeners. As always, you get your first month of BlueChew free. Yeah. Even Klondike Bill could swing that. Just use the promo code WHW at checkout. Pay $5 for shipping. That's it. Join BlueChew's mission to upgrade humanity one thrust at a time. Head on over to BlueChew.com for important details and safety information. And we thank BlueChew for sponsoring Tony's Rock Hard Ding Dong each and every Dynamite. It's Wednesday. You know what that means. Tony's got a hard on. Thanks to BlueChew. We're back live watching the end of the Killer Bees match. How you doing, Tony?
Yep, I'm doing fine. I just knocked over a bookshelf, just slayed me. Sorry for those of you who are not listening to the ad version. Oh, God. Okay, so here are the Killer Bees.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of that, let me give a plug.
Okay.
Eric Bischoff and I did a wonderful episode on Hulk Hogan. Eric was very emotional, very real, very raw, very vulnerable. I don't think I've done a podcast like it. That was this past Saturday.
Okay.
And then this Monday morning, I was able to catch up with John Layfield and Mr. Briscoe. And despite what you've heard, Jerry Briscoe and his brother Jack discovered Hulk Hogan in a band called Ruckus playing bass guitar and got him hooked up with Hiro Matsuda to start wrestling. And then eventually hooked him up with a booking agent in Alabama in 79. who eventually landed him in Memphis. And before you know it, he was the Gulf Coast champion, and he was in the AWA in Japan, and he was off to the races. So we had just a tremendous a couple of tribute episodes. We even had a really deep philosophical conversation about what made Hulk Hogan successful with Jeff Jarrett. Later this week, I'm going to be sitting down with Jim Ross, and I believe we'll have a special guest with us to celebrate Hulk Hogan. We're going to get at least 2 more hours out of Eric this weekend talking about Hulk Hogan. But I wanted to throw a plug in here because we're watching Brian Blair, a Tampa native,
Right.
and really Hulk Hogan's first good match. His first match wasn't against Brian Blair, but it was a series of matches that gave a young Terry Bollea the confidence to continue to pursue this. He is going to be a guest on Stories with Briscoe and Bradshaw. And the rumor and innuendo is they may even have Jimmy Hart join them.
Oh my God.
So if you're ready for more love from the Hulk Hogan direction this week, I want to plug those other shows, something for everybody. And I know that there's a whole contingent out there who want to talk about the complicated legacy of Hulk Hogan. We could talk about that next week or next month or next year. We're going to celebrate the good times of Hulkamania this week, Tony.
Good job, Conrad. That should be very, very good and very great. And look forward to that one.
WrestleMania 3 is on deck here. We just saw that match come to an end. Hacksaw Jim Duggan cutting a promo with the American flag and the 2x4. I mean, this is Americana, getting everybody going, USA, USA. And what's next, of course, is the main event. Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant in arguably the most consequential match in pro wrestling history. We're going to watch the match, and we're going to celebrate the match. But first, I want to show you exactly what Dave Meltzer wrote about this match in particular. He's never been too kind on the Hulkster, this one in particular. Let's read this recap from the Observer. Hulk Hogan pinned Andre the Giant with a leg drop after a body slam in 12 minutes. This wasn't the worst match I ever saw, but it threatened to be at times. Hulk proved all his critics right and that he simply can't carry a match. Andre was even worse than I expected. Now, I always heard that Gorilla Monsoon was a math teacher. Didn't he ever teach his son Joey, the referee Joey Morella, how to count past 9 because they were outside the ring for 90 seconds at one point, and Morella never counted to 10. Everything done except the first non-slam and the final slam was poor, and little was done. -4 stars. That's -4 stars. I'll have nightmares about this one. Andre just standing there, not moving for minutes on end, nearly falling asleep while holding Hulk in a 4-minute bear hug. But who can complain? In one day, this match did more business than every Buddy Rogers versus Johnny Valentine, Pat Patterson versus Ray Stevens, Lou Thez versus Carl Gotch, Ricky Steamboat versus Ric Flair, and Jack Briscoe versus Terry Funk match combined. And that's something to think about. Man, I just can't believe that you would rate such an important match like this -4 stars. I mean, Meltzer has said in recent years, Tony, that the star ratings are not his opinion. He's trying to give an objective rating, not his opinion, because he says he rates matches he doesn't really like very well. And some of the matches he likes the best, he doesn't rate very well. So I can't make heads or tails out of that. If it was just his opinion and he didn't like it, that's one thing. But I don't know how to reconcile. No, I'm not just giving my opinion, because what is it if it's not your opinion? It's just hard for me to imagine that this is the worst match on the show, but yet it drew the most money. I don't get it.
Oh, well, I just think that Dave is trying to make up for being young and dumb.
Okay.
That's all I think. Because, hey, okay, it wasn't Ricky Steamboat against Ric Flair. It never was supposed to be. It wasn't going to be, okay? Just enjoy the freaking moment like we are getting ready to.
Absolutely. We're seeing a recap of how we got here, all the times that Hulk Hogan came to save the day for Andre the Giant. Coach Rosie's with us here live, and he wants to know, ask Tony, who is the Hulk Hogan of AEW? I mean, I think most people would agree that Moxley's kind of been the MVP for a while, but he's been more of a heel. Is there a Hulk Hogan of AEW? Who would you think?
I think it would be Kenny Omega, if anybody.
Okay.
Yeah. I
There's a click headline for 411fucksheet.com.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, because they've run out of
Shit
reporting
to
on
talk
their own.
about.
Yeah, shit to talk about running on their own.
Bryant wants to know, Tony, do you have a favorite Hulk Hogan movie or a cameo in a movie? I can tell you right now, Tony, mine's No Holds Barred. I think it's the greatest wrestling movie ever made.
Okay. Uh, I I like No Holds Barred because at the end they killed the bad guy.
Yes.
They didn't just beat him; they killed him. Can't beat that, can you? You're gonna die, motherfucker.
Hey, what'd you think of this moment here on Piper's Pit where Andre rips the crucifix off of Hogan's chest? And as he does, Piper points to his chest and says, "You're bleeding."
Yeah.
Because you could actually see where Andre's fingernails had nicked Hogan's chest. I thought that was such a nice touch. You're bleeding.
Yeah. I think what sold the moment of this match when Hogan said yes, right? Will you take
Yes.
on Hogan? The reaction of the fans.
Yes.
And I don't know if it was they could have edited in something, but the reaction to me sold the moment. Dave, I don't know if you even have a still of the reaction of the fans when Hogan said yes. And to me, I remember seeing that. And I remember seeing that after I started working for Titan Sports, because that was only 2 years later I started working for him. I remember seeing that and thinking that sold the freaking moment. And we saw that in that clip right there. So that's, to me, that's great fan reaction. And Hogan was
Coach Rosie is
okay.
with us, and he says, Tony, who was your favorite as a kid, like Hulk was for me?
Oh, well, it was Blackjack Mulligan. I've said that many times. I just, when he came in as a heel to Jim Crockett Promotions, he was so unlikable. And when he turned babyface, it was such a wonderful turn and so well done that I just absolutely loved him. So to me, it was Blackjack.
John Hamilton wants to know, what is your favorite Hogan match? I mean, I do think a lot of people sleep on some of his matches. I think he had a better than average match with Warrior at WrestleMania 6.
Right.
I thought he had a series of pretty good matches in WCW that he never really got credit for, but he made Goldberg look like $1,000,000. He had good matches in WCW with Piper and with Diamond Dallas Page and with Bret Hart and with Lex Luger. I mean, there were a lot of good matches with Hogan as a heel.
Right.
Is your favorite always going to be in a cage with the Boss Man, do you think?
That's the one, yeah, I think I'm going to remember because I called that match, and that was the first Hulk Hogan match I ever called. So again, we're 2 years removed from this, and I'm calling a Hulk Hogan match at Madison Square Garden in front of a sellout crowd. So yes, that's going to be my favorite of all time. Although I really enjoyed the WrestleMania 6 one. I thought it was very well booked, very well done. Everyone did a great job, and I thought it was good. So I enjoyed that as well. But yeah, it's going to be the Madison Square Garden one that we've seen here on this podcast.
John Hamilton wants to know. So let's talk about the top 3 names all time.
Oh.
Is it Hogan, Flair, and Austin, or Hogan, Flair, and Rock? What do you think? This is interesting because we're trimming the Mount Rushmore by 1.
Wow.
So if you were to boil it down to the top 3 names, what would you think?
Well, you can't deny that Rock has been the biggest box office star ever to come out of wrestling.
Well, from a Hollywood perspective, that's
right.
fair.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant.
Yes.
The biggest Hollywood box office star to come out of wrestling. But to me, it's Flair, Hogan, and Steve Austin.
Yeah.
And that is not to try to downgrade what Rock has meant, what Rock became. But Rock has become the biggest star of them all on a global scale. And I guess Batista's right behind him, isn't he, in many ways? I mean, he's getting a lot of movie time.
I think when it's all said and done, it'll be John Cena. Because John Cena has already decided, made his way into the superhero movies. And I know that Batista did too, but John Cena achieved so much success in wrestling. It really blows away what Batista was able to do in wrestling, with all due respect for Batista.
Right.
And I do think Cena is going to be can't miss in Hollywood.
Okay.
We'll see. David McClay is bringing the positivity. He says, how often do movies we love get terrible ratings from film critics? Just saying. I agree. You know, I saw some people over the weekend being really, really critical of Adam Sandler's new movie, Happy Gilmore 2. I left Happy Gilmore 2 feeling very satisfied. I loved it, but I also didn't sit down for Happy Gilmore 2 thinking I was going to watch Schindler's List. I thought it would be a stupid comedy, and guess what? It was fun.
Right. Yeah.
What a visual. We're finally here after a little celebrity dog and pony show. Andre the Giant and Bobby the Brain Heenan are making their way to the ring on one of those little carts. I absolutely love those carts. I've joked for years and years I wanted one. You remember my Huntsville house, which is still technically for sale. I wanted, Tony, if you remember, my trash cans I had to take to the top of the hill at first. And then years later, the trash can would the garbage truck would actually come inside the gate in our little community and get the cans. But for a while I thought, man, how cool would it be if I could get one of those WrestleMania 3 gimmicks and get the trash cans up there and just take them to the top of the Governor's Drive. Thought it would have been fucking hilarious.
It would have.
But I checked with Ben Brown and they don't actually have those. But how cool is that? Like, I think if and when they do a WWE Hall of Fame, I hope that they will recreate that, like physical Hall of Fame, so you can see that. And this actual ring they're in here, Tony, according to the rumor and innuendo, that ring is owned by gosh, what is the guy's name? He runs the Sausage Castle in Florida. Are you familiar with this guy?
No, I'm not.
Mike Busey is his name, and I guess people assume that he's related to Gary Busey, but he's not. But he is basically a guy who has a bunch of adult film stars, mattress actresses, if you will, hang around, and maybe they create OnlyFans content. And I think they shoot fireworks out of their asshole and lots of crazy stuff. But he has the WrestleMania 3 actual ring, which I just thought, how does this guy have this? But now, thankfully, of course, WWE is hanging on to some of their artifacts and trying to get back others. Like, I think a lot of people believed that Hulkamania's last WrestleMania was going to be WrestleMania 9. He actually gave that entire outfit to Jerry Briscoe, he being Hogan,
right?
And actually wrote on there something like "One Last Time" or something.
Wow.
And they displayed it at WrestleMania earlier this year. He had it on loan to WWE, and now, of course, WWE would like to buy that from Mr. Briscoe. I think he's got something that is worth quite a bit with Golden Auctions, but we'll see what he does.
Wow. Sausage King owns the ring.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Here he comes. By the way, Hulk Hogan does still have that title belt. I get this question all the time. Hogan actually has that belt, so I guess Sky or his son Nick are going to be in possession of that belt. But there it is. It's commonly referred to as the Hogan 86 or the Hogan 87. Of course, they had teased on the way to this event that Bobby the Brain Heenan had already forced the WWF to create a title fit for a giant. So it's known as the Andre 87 belt. They showed it off on Piper's Pit in Primetime Wrestling. Later, they would re-leather it onto white and have one sized for Hulk Hogan. And he wore it in the No Holds Barred movie. And then it wound up at a Planet Hollywood. And I think it's in storage in Florida from that Planet Hollywood belt, But here we are. Joey Morella is your referee. That is the son of Gorilla Monsoon. And you see all the flash bulbs going off. And this just feels gigantic with the flash bulbs going off. Does it not, Tony?
It does. It's quite a moment. And the stare down is something else. Give me a time check here, Conrad. What you got?
I'm on Peacock, so I'm not exactly where you are.
I'm on Peacock too.
Okay, well, I'm right now at 2:43, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54.
Okay, I'm just a second ahead of you, so we're right on.
SaveWithConrad.com.
My name is Sergio. I'm from Lancaster in California. The motivation behind just following through with this refinance was I have a baby on the way. So just wanted to get everything in order. In the past couple of years, just afraid to pull the trigger, but then it just seemed like the right time to do it. I went to multiple banks, not only the mortgage I had, but then I went to you, and then I also went to several others. And it just seemed like your team, they were just completely honest and outright. Also, all the information was just laid out for me right there and then, answering all my questions in a timely, efficient manner. Diane was just so helpful and above and beyond accessible with both texting and emails and just any information that they needed. She would explain to me what exactly they wanted me to send, and then if there were any issues, she was able to just resolve them pretty quickly, versus other companies that sometimes it would take a couple of days to get some information. We were looking to pay down some debt, also looking into making some improvements to the home, also build up our backyard, do everything, especially for our daughter coming. By doing this cash out, it's a good amount that we're saving, between $1,000 and $1,500 a month, I would say. It helped out tremendously as well. My name's Sergio. I'm from Lancaster, California, and I saved over $1,500 a month with SaveWithConrad.com.
NMLS number 212, non-equal housing lender. SaveWithConrad.com. The flash bulbs here, as they're going nose to nose.
Yeah.
That's something that I think wrestling now misses, is the big fight feel.
Yep.
I appreciate when a guy and what a great moment this is too, where
Yes.
he tries to go for the slam, Andre falls, and it looks like Morella counts 3. He can't really see that Hogan kicked out. And I love that Jesse stays on it and Andre stays on it. Because what a finish that would have been if Andre beat him like that. Wouldn't that have been wild?
That was a great spot. And that's one of the things that I remember about the match was that attempt at a slam and Hogan almost pinning him.
Yes.
And it's a good part of the story because it got Jesse's ire and apparently got Dave Meltzer's ire as well.
You can see, if you're looking closely, you can see that Andre's wearing a back brace, like around the top of his hips.
Right.
I feel weird saying this, but right above his butt, you can see it's almost like he's got a girdle right around his low back area. He's hurting for certain. I mean, every time he's near the ropes, if he's on a knee, he's using those ropes for leverage to get up. His back is shot here. He is no longer at his physical peak. And this isn't the first time that these guys have wrestled. And I think that's one of the disadvantages about modern wrestling is we all know too much now. We have too much access. In the late 90s, we could say that, oh, yeah, over the last week, Goldberg won 12 more matches, guys. And really, who was keeping score? How could you keep up with it?
Right.
But a decade prior to that, in the late 80s, they could say Andre's never lost. These guys have never wrestled. Andre's never been slammed. All of that's easily disproven. Andre's lost a bunch. Everybody, including Hulk Hogan, has already body slammed him. Including Harley Race and Jack Briscoe, and everybody has body slammed him at that point. But that didn't matter because it just added to the allure. And I kind of like that, Tony. Like, I know that people, and I know Tony Khan will never do this. He wants a more sports-based presentation, and I get that. But I like that, hey, man, just fucking lie to us. Make it feel bigger than, because they do in comic books. They do in movies. Like, we should be able to suspend our disbelief. We don't have to as grown adults who know that it's not a legitimate athletic contest. If you want to build something as for the first time ever, fuck it. Why not? Who cares?
Yep. Idiots on Twitter care, and they ruin it for everybody. I like this. Hogan doing a good job of selling here. Andre picking him up by his tights.
I'm just saying, can you imagine if they had told the truth about promoting this match? That's what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah,
if they were like, hey, this is the 17th match between Hogan and Andre.
Yeah,
can Hogan be the 72nd person to body slam him?
Right.
I mean, it's like, what the fuck? None of it matters then.
Right. You're right. And, it goes back to what Gordon Solie, and I saw that to a tweet from his daughter, what Gordon Solie told me about being a wrestling announcer. He gave me a lot of good advice, but the best advice he ever gave me was, he said, call it tell the story like you mean it, like you believe it. And if you state with authority and you say it like you believe it, the fans will believe anything. And that's always stuck with me. And that's the way Gordon was. Gordon was he made it seem everything so serious, and he made everything seem so authentic. And he didn't always believe what he was saying, but he made you believe it. And so that's always stuck with me with Gordon, and about, dispense belief, or whatever it is we say.
Suspending disbelief. Yeah.
Suspending disbelief. Thank you.
Jason Taylor's with us live, and he says, Conrad, I always thought Hogan's white belt no holds barred was a winged eagle. I didn't think it was a Hogan 86, 87. It was not a Hogan 86, 87. It was a winged eagle, and it was the Andre belt. There's no consistency in the movie. So there's a backstage scene, and then there's the entrance scene, like when he's coming to the ring, and he's wearing a different belt there. So you'll see the Andre belt re-leathered, and you'll see the white winged eagle as well. I don't think the Hogan 86, 87 was in it, but there were two versions of that belt, a little different. I'm talking about the Hogan 86 and 87. It's the same style, the same plates. Most people wouldn't even recognize the difference, but there is a tiny difference. And Hogan has that belt all these years later. And to my mind, like the two biggest WrestleMania belts of all time, or the three biggest, are the one from WrestleMania 3, the one from WrestleMania 5, and the one from 17. I have 17. Hulk Hogan's family has WrestleMania 3, and nobody knows what WrestleMania 5 is. I think it's crazy that the only winged eagle that the WWE owns is the broken tipped Bret Hart, Ric Flair, Yokozuna one. They don't have one from the Hogan era.
Wow.
Like the idea that the WWF doesn't have one of Hogan's title belts. I mean, maybe they have that 2002 Undisputed, but you know what I mean. From
Yes.
the good old days, it's like, how do they not have that?
Right. Yeah, that's a great question. And once again, I guess they didn't realize how much memorabilia meant to people.
Oh no, and I get it. Listen, on some level, I mean, belts back then, I bet they were paying Reggie Parks $800.
Yes.
So it's like, what's the big deal? We'll just fucking get another one. Who cares?
Right. Exactly.
How would anybody know? Oh no, these ring worn boots, like the boots that Hulk Hogan is wearing. If you had Hogan's boots, knee pads, trunks, and belt from this match, it's no less than $250,000. No less.
Wow.
If you had Andre's singlet and Andre's boots in this match, that's no less than $100,000. No less.
Right.
Think about that. Like, what other wrestling match could you say, hey, we got 2 pairs of tights, 2 knee pads, 4 boots, and 1 belt? How's $350,000 sound? That's where that market is right now.
Wow. That's that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's absolutely incredible stuff. And if you want to see how to sell a bear hug, you're watching it right now.
And listen, I mean, I've always made fun of the bear hug spot, but I will say this: if you're going to have a bear hug spot, having one with Andre the Giant maybe makes more sense than anybody else.
With those gigantic arms wrapped around him and pulling up on him? Absolutely. It
feels like something from, a bygone era, the fee, fi, fo, fum, like I'm going to squeeze you until you explode sort of deal. We've got a fun question here from David McClay, who says, Tony, where do you think this match ranks among matches that Jesse Ventura has called?
Wow.
I love that Dave Meltzer was really heaping some praise on Jesse Ventura, because Meltzer correctly pointed out that WrestleMania 2, when they tried the 3 different WrestleManias in 3 different locations, being New York, Chicago, and LA, you had a lot of celebrity integrations. So you had people who had big names, but really didn't have any product knowledge, and they were just saying stupid shit.
Right.
Whereas with Jesse Ventura here the entire time with Gorilla, I thought they did a great job on this show.
Yeah. And Dave, it's hard for me to answer that question. It's impossible, because I haven't heard every match that Jesse's called. And I listened to some of the great Saturday Night Main Event matches that he called. And I don't know. I just don't know. I wish I did. I wish I was one of the Jesse the Body Ventura authorities. And that's another thing I talk about. The great things that have happened to me in my career, being able to work with Jesse Ventura. Holy shit. Is that not a big deal? Damn right, it's a big deal. I don't know if you notice this or not, but you see a lot of Heenan in these shots,
Yeah.
especially when they go in the corner, and that's not an accident.
No.
Heenan, like we said before, Bobby was a big part of the story and a great heel and a great foil for Hulk Hogan. So yeah, they wanted to show Heenan. I mean, obviously you show the wrestlers, but
See the back brace poking out right there?
you sure do.
Hey, I wanted to mention the reason they're showing Heenan, and I know you know this, but maybe some of our younger listeners, it's lost on them. Andre the Giant has been a babyface for most of his career.
Right.
He's the big, lovable giant. So there's a lot of longtime wrestling fans, old-time wrestling fans, new wrestling fans. So wherever you are in your fandom, there's a lot of different people on their wrestling fandom journey, if you will, who are watching this. So if we're being really honest about it, what makes Andre a heel here? It's his association with Bobby Heenan.
Exactly.
So you need to continue to show the audience that Bobby Heenan's there and he's cheering on Andre, because we all know that Hulk Hogan's a hero. But the idea that Andre is working with Bobby the Brain Heenan to kill Hulkamania, that's what makes Andre the heel. So that's the reason I was saying, boy, I know that Andre made $1 million this night and Hogan made 750. I think I could be wrong, but I think Bobby the Brain Heenan made 250. And for a one night managerial payoff, a lot of people would say, oh my God, what a home run. Good for him. I would argue, hey, he had just as much to do with the success of this match as the other two guys involved.
Very well said, Conrad, and I couldn't agree more.
Man, I love seeing them go down. I know that Meltzer hated this, but the drama of when Hogan knocked down Andre, look at the crowd.
Yes, they're with
Just
it.
the idea that they got him off his feet. Look at Hogan selling it like, oh
Yep.
my God, I got him down.
Yeah.
Hey, fuck you. This ain't -4 stars. Look at the crowd as Hogan's hulking up here.
Yeah, of course it's not. Of course it's not.
How do you not love Hulk Hogan?
I just, here we go. Oh man, look at the fans go fucking nuts. Look at them.
The flash bulbs. And here he goes.
Yes.
The big leg drop. Can he do it, Tony?
Yep.
Man, what a moment. Look at the crowd.
I know. So
Guys, if the crowd responds like that,
it
I
ain't
don't care what you read in the newsletter. I don't care what somebody cranked out on a typewriter. It ain't -4 nothing.
right.
My God, look at that.
Yep. You're watching one of the great wrestling moments ever.
How about this? If you take a look at the greatest moments in quote unquote sports, or for that matter, in entertainment, if you had a highlight reel of all the major sports and entertainment clips of 1987, this is going to be chief amongst them.
Absolutely. Bob Uecker, the ringing out, it's just good. It's something I could watch a lot of. I really could. I could watch this match over and over. Just for the sheer drama of it, for the fan response. And you think they didn't work hard, man. Look at this.
Look at everybody clearing the stage. You see Bob Uecker out,
All right,
and Mean Gene out, and Hogan laying the belt down, calling him in.
Yep.
We're going to get the big Hulk Hogan pose down routine.
Mm-hmm. And watch Heenan's reaction as they are carted off. Not now, but you'll see that Heenan's got like his hand in his head in his hands and is upset. Like
he's like leaning down on the ropes. Disappointed.
Right. I've lost the big one, right? Biggest. There he is. Look at this. Great job.
Think about this, guys. I mean, and I know people are going to hear, oh, we got $250,000 for this match or whatever the rumored payoff is for Bobby. But it was the build for this thing. Like, the real work happened to get 93,000 people in the arena. The real work wasn't the 12 minutes they spent during the match.
Yeah, very well said. Yeah. And, like someone told me when I started working for the WWF 2 years later, I don't know who it was, said the posing is what they come for,
Yeah.
you know? And they're standing there watching the posing. That's what they come for. And he goes to every side. Um,
Everybody wants their pictures. And listen, this is something that I'll admit, this was not my fandom. By the time I got in '88 and I was just knee deep in 1989, one of my favorite years in the history of wrestling, people were calling it the WWF. But I've heard from people who I believe and who I trust, who were saying that, in '85 and in '86 and in '87, the WWF was not what it is now. It wasn't as established, but everyone wanted to see Hulk Hogan. So when the WWF would come to town, normal people, that happened to be casual wrestling fans, they wouldn't say, "Oh, the WWF's in town." They would say something like, "I'm going to see Hulk Hogan."
right.
Like Hulk Hogan was the attraction that, because we saw him on Saturday Night Live, we saw him on the A Team, we saw him on the cover of Sports Illustrated, we saw him on MTV and with Cyndi Lauper. That's how we first learned who Hulk Hogan was. We saw Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling cartoon. And now, once we've learned who Hulk Hogan is and we're interested, we're going to go check out wrestling. Now, some people I've talked to say, "Oh, no, that's not true." We even read that in the Observer. That's how Tony Khan found wrestling, is seeing these characters on TV. So you fall in love with the Hulk Hogan character, then you fall in love with the WWF. That's the way it was for a lot of fans, myself included. I mean, my parents showed me Hulk Hogan and they were like, "Hey, you got to see this guy," because they knew I loved He-Man. And I don't know if you've seen He-Man, but the drawing of He-Man, the cartoon He-Man, looks like live action Hulk Hogan. I mean, this is what it is. And eventually the WWF became, the thing. And now they can just announce WrestleMania and people are going to buy tickets. But it wasn't always that way. It was based around the stars, and perhaps none bigger than Hulk Hogan.
Great moment, pointing up to the heavens as he is wheeled
Yep.
away. And I noticed as Bobby had his head in his hands, leaning over, the fans were pelting him with debris. He
Yep.
didn't sell any bit of it. He just had his head down. Let him do it. So great. I'm so glad we watched this. This is great. This is absolutely great.
I am too. And listen, I know that we're going to get a bunch of negative comments on social media and in YouTube. Oh, look at that. I didn't even remember they did this. They lifted it.
Oh, okay.
When they got past the fans right before Hulk Hogan goes out, they lifted the golf cart so it was at its maximum height. So everybody got a good shot of the Hulkster. This is incredible.
Yeah.
Anyway, what I was going to say is, if you're not happy that we watched WrestleMania 3, I hate to hear that. If you're not happy that we celebrated Hulk Hogan and we didn't talk about his quote unquote complicated legacy, I feel bad that we've let you down. And I want to offer this as sincerely as I can. I would recommend that you go home and take your shoes off and set them aside, maybe at the foot of the bed if you want. And then if you'd like, you could just go out the front door and just lay down right in traffic, because I don't give a fuck. We're going to celebrate Hulk Hogan on this show every chance we get. I know Tony Schiavone, and I'm doing podcasts because of Hulk Hogan. And I realize that you may have problems with Terry Bollea. Hulk Hogan is a fictional wrestling character and one that I loved as a kid, and I won't apologize for it. And I think the real life Terry Bollea's family deserves a little grace this week, by God. So let's try to be better and nicer to each other. We can be pissed off next week.
Conrad, I agree with everything you say. I think the only good thing about negative comments are that it lets you know who to block and keep those people out of your lives.
Those fans can stick it, brother. Greg Jacobson is with us here live, and he says, "Conrad, do you own or know where the big green WWF belt is?" It's in a trash can. Hulk Hogan threw it away, called it a piece of crap. That's the story, and nobody's ever produced it. So I tend to believe that that's real. We're seeing Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse the Body Ventura sign off of the live broadcast. This is the biggest wrestling show in the history of professional wrestling at this point, and one we're still talking about all these years later. But Tony, right now, it looks like it's about that time.
There's nothing I can add to this. It has been a trying week for many of us, more than a week now for many of us, and just rest in peace, Hulk Hogan.